Alrighty, so for those of you guys that were having trouble graphing in radians, or maybe we're not just good at fractions, it's okay. I'm going to show you guys how to do this a little bit easier. It might be a little bit more work, but if you understand it better this way, you can do it this way. So a lot of us do not like to work with fractions, or we don't like to work with radians. So what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and change this to degrees so that it's easier for us to understand. So what you do need to remember is to change it to degrees, we need to cancel out the pi. So that means we need to multiply by 180 over pi. Okay, so that's your formula to cancel it. So that means that these pi's cancel out, and then we're going to go ahead and take 180 and we're going to divide it by 4, and that gives us 45. So that means that this angle, pi over 4, is 45 degrees. So then from here, I'm going to go ahead and label these. This would be 0, this would be 90. 45 would land right here between 0 and 90. So it would land in the first quadrant. So this is our angle right here. And so we need to give one positive and one negative coterminal angle. Okay, so to get the positive coterminal angle, we're going to take our 45 degrees. And we're going to have to add one full rotation. So we start here and we go around once and we end here. Okay, that would be a positive coterminal angle because it starts at the same place and it ends at the same place, but it goes around one circle first before it stops. So we're going to add 360. So in our calculators, we do 45 plus 360, and that gives us 405 degrees. Okay. Now, we cannot give the answer like that because they gave us the problem in radians, so we can't just give the answer in degrees. So we do have to change it back to radians. So we're going to go ahead and multiply. Now, to change it into radians, we multiply it by 180 over pi. So to move it back to degrees, back to radians, we need to multiply times pi over 180. Oh, it's not writing. Pi over 180. Darn it. Oh, you know what? It turned off. Sorry. Pi over 180. And so in our calculators, you are going to put 405. My luck. 05 divided by 180. And then that'll tell you what your radians are. So when you do put that in your calculators, you can go ahead and change this into a fraction. And that gives us 9 over 4 pi. Okay, so that would be our first positive coterminal angle. Now let's get the negative one. So we have our angle, which is 45 degrees. And then instead of adding one full rotation, since we want a negative angle, we're going to subtract one full rotation. So we're going to subtract the 360. So 45 minus 360 gives us negative 315 degrees. So that would be our negative coterminal angle. So instead of going in the positive direction, we would go clockwise in the negative direction, and that would be negative 315 degrees. But of course, we don't want our answers in degrees because they gave it to us in radians, so we do need to change that to radians by multiplying times pi over 180. So in our calculators, you need to put negative 315 divided by 180 times pi. So when we put that in our calculators and we change it into a fraction, it gives us 7/4. So it'll be 7 pi over 4. Okay, so if it's a little bit easier for you to work with the degrees, that's fine, but make sure at the end you do change your answer back into radians. So let's try the next one. Here we have negative 2 pi over 3. We're going to go ahead and change that into degrees by canceling out the pi. We're going to multiply it times 180 over pi. That way, since you have a pi on top and a pi on bottom, they cancel each other out. And so in our calculators, we are going to put 2 times 180, because that's what's on the top, and then we're going to divide it by whatever's on the bottom. In this case, it's a 3, so we're going to do 360 divided by 3. And that gives us 120. And remember, this is a negative angle, so it'll be negative 120 degrees. So when we're graphing it, this is 90 and this is 180. Okay, it's in the negative direction. So 120 lands between 90 and 180. So this is our terminal side. This is our initial side, and this is going in this direction. Okay, so that's the given angle. Now from there, we are going to find one positive and one negative. So to find a positive, it would go in this direction, in the positive direction. So the way that we find that is we take our angle negative 120 and we add 360. We add one full rotation, which in that case, that would give us 240. And just like the other problem, we cannot put our answer in degrees because they give it to us in radians. So we need to switch it back. So we multiply times pi over 180. So in your calculators, you need to do 240 over 180. Oh man, 180. And that'll tell you how many pi's it is. So we put that in our calculator, 240 over 180. Math, enter, 4/3. It'll be 4 pi over 3. Okay, now for the negative angle. The exact same thing. Our angle is in degrees, so it's going to be negative 120 degrees. And so we're going to add one full rotation to it. So we're going to add 360. Oh, I'm sorry. We're looking for a negative one. So we're going to subtract 360. So minus 360. So negative 120 minus 360 gives us negative 480. Okay. And so that's this angle. It goes in the negative direction, but instead of stopping in the terminal side, it goes around once and then it stops. Okay, so that's negative 480. And so in order for us to give that answer, it does have to be in radians. So we need to multiply times pi over 180 to change it back. And so I put that in my calculator, negative 480 divided by 180. We change it to a fraction. It gives us negative 8/3. So the angle is going to be negative 8. No. Pi over 3. It's not letting me write the 8 there. And that is our final answer. All right, so if you have any questions, make sure you guys leave a comment. And I'll go ahead and try to get to as many questions as possible. You can also come see us during our office hours. Thanks, guys. Bye.